What's up, everybody, and welcome to the OK Taco Show. My name is Conrad, and how are you, buddy? Today is Thursday, I think it's the 9th, or 8th. What is today? Hold on a second. Got it right here. I'll just pull it up on my watch. It's the 8th. Yeah, that's right. So if you're watching at home, we got the right date on there. Excuse me for a second. Turn the music back on. Crank it up. God. It's Phil Collins, everybody. This part won him a Grammy. Right here. You guys get it? So yes, welcome to the show. If you are watching, you're watching on Patreon. You're watching the OK Taco Club on Patreon. This is the Connie G Show, hosted by the OK Taco Club or the OK Taco Show. You can listen to the Connie G Show by searching for it anywhere, or just go to patreon.com and sign up for the OK Taco Show. There'll be lots of shows that get housed under this Patreon logo. Now, most of them will probably be just me saying it's a different name of a show because it doesn't really matter. You might have the Adventures of Thick James coming soon to a video near you. You might have a little bit of porch sitting. It's possible if there's people out there. We've had a few people that have said they wanted to be on a show. I talked to Ryan, our cop friend, our Wellston cop friend. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, that cops can be friendly or that they're from Wellston. I shouldn't have said it again. But either way, he's a friend of mine, and we talked about maybe doing an episode of the OK Taco Show where we have a bunch of police men and women. There can be police women too, and they're going to possibly come in and talk about some of the weirdest calls they've been on, emergencies they've had to deal with, stuff like that. A real whodunit, and people are interested in that. The other day I was sitting in the taco shop just having a cup to pass the time, and the thing is, Drew Barrymore was just getting over, thank God, and so I turned the channel. It was on channel 4.1 on our antenna, and I changed it to channel 4.2. And on channel 4.2, there was a show called Homicide. What the hell was it called? It's not like Huckleberry Homicide or something. Homicide. Southern Fried Homicide is what it was called. Southern Fried Homicide. And it was the best example I can give you about what Southern Fried Homicide is about. The fact that somebody went to A&E or whatever this stupid antenna TV network is and was like, I got it, guys. I got an idea for a show that we can put after Drew Barrymore. And they're like, but we're not competing with Drew Barrymore. No one can. It's like, no, it's actually a really good concept. What we're going to do is find murders that happen south of the Mason-Dixon line, south of the, I don't know what line people use for Southerners anymore. It seems like it moves up and up and up, and anything below Washington, D.C. and New York City is a Southerner, which is fine. I don't care what people in Washington, D.C. or New York City think about me, or you. I don't care what they think about you either. But apparently there's such a novelty to being a Southerner that even the murders can be more mysterious if you know that they happen in a southern region. And so on Southern Fried Homicide, we're going to be looking into the case of Casey Jones, a chemistry major who decided to do a little experiment of her own. Yeah, this one's going to take you back to 1994. Southern Fried Homicide will be right back. There's this very sultry, is a good word. It's a good word for a eyeshadow, and it's a good word for a person who was acting like this woman was acting, sultry. And she walked onto the typical Southern plantation front porch, like at the intro of the show, and she's wearing like a sexy blue dress and the big makeup and talking in the southern way, and it was nauseating would be the word. Southern fried homicide. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pause this. I got Dick James out there running the shop. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I run this show out of a taco shop in Davenport, Oklahoma, on Route 66. I think it's in Davenport, Oklahoma. Sometimes I'm not convinced that I'm actually living in the real world. So, anyways, yeah, if you want to watch Southern Fried Homicide, it's after Drew Barrymore on whatever station 4.2 is in Oklahoma. Just do your research. I mean, just Google Southern Fried Homicide and see where it's playing in your area, and then you'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room, or the elephant that's not in the room. And that's an expression just to put to bed all of the rumors that are going around, if there are any, or just to put it to bed in my own mind, which we'll see. So you guys might be sitting around wondering, did Conrad, did you fire? Did you get in this huge fight? What did he do? Where's Shannon? All that stuff. No, I just went crazy, guys. That's all that happened. I just went crazy, and there's a reason behind it, and I'll go into it a little bit. But I didn't plan on it happening, consciously, at least. I didn't, and I have talked to Shannon 2 times since, I guess, the end of the craziness run, whatever that would be called. So here's what basically happened. I don't know how far. I kind of got to go back a long time, but I will. So we're going to go ahead and just pull this Band-Aid right off. When James and I were young, like 10 and 8, around that age, he's older than me by a couple of years, so respectively, 10 and 8. We had to stay the night at somebody's house one time, and it was somebody that we didn't really know, but was a family member, but not close family. And anyways, this guy, I guess he molested me and James, would be the best way to describe it, without going into any details. And I was too young, both of us were too young to really understand, but we were also of the age where I guess we were of the age where I remember. So anyways, this happened. I never seen the guy again, which is funny in the sense of he's family, and he was smart enough to avoid ever being in the same room with me again. And I didn't tell anybody, and I just never stayed the night, and I made an excuse. I don't know. I don't know. I think that James and I just told ourselves, wow, glad we got through that, or that was weird, or what the heck just happened. And I said, I don't know, but I'm not going. And James actually stayed the night again. After he said, but he's not sure. He's trying to remember if it was before or after. So anyways, it happened. The details of it, I don't think I need to really get into. But here's what happened. Okay. And I'll try to break it down as much as I can. And all I'm doing is giving you what I've been going through in my head, running over and over for what feels like months now. Probably is. But as I was doing this, everything was happening. So what happened is we had this food truck, right? It's fine. It's fallen apart, and, it's not sustainable as it was. And not to say that we couldn't fix it or didn't have a list of contacts, that know how to fix the things that we had wrong with the trailer. And we could have spent some money and put it in there and kept our journey going. But prior to even buying that Airstream, I had my heart set on finding a place that I could do this show at. I could do a podcast, but understanding and not having any disillusion, I think is the word, of the opportunity to actually make money with this show. I decided I wanted to do the show there, but knowing that I have to figure out something to do to make money, and that was kind of always the plan, basically. Do the show. It gives you a way to do the show, but then you sell tacos. It just doesn't really matter what the other thing is. And so we chose to sell tacos because everybody loves tacos, and they're usually fun and that kind of thing, and carefree, I guess, that kind of deal when people are going to a taco shop or a taco truck or whatever. So it seemed to fit with the show. And the reason I have to go into all this crap right now is because I'd like to do a show again. I'd like to be funny again. I'd like to just tell you all this silly crap. And I'm trying, but I feel guilty because I have not told you what the hell's going on with the person that's been sitting next to me for 10 years. So I would like to address that. And then let you guys understand everything, or at least as much as I'm willing to say right now, and give you a gist of everything. So I was looking for a place, and I didn't have the money, and I tried to get loans to buy stuff when I first thought of possibly doing a restaurant/podcast combo, basically. And I almost bought a bowling alley, and I quit a job, and it was a job that you could have for a long time, and it was safe and pretty good benefits and good pay for what you're doing, and once you kind of know the ropes, pretty easy, and too easy, in fact, in the sense of I can't do this forever because it's not enough. Now, could you have added things to do? Sure, but one of the things that always made me the maddest about working at like the big boy job, the adult job, was I'd brought my son at one time to the shop because he was sick, and it was like a big deal, and it bothered me because it was basically a bunch of adults, over 50 adults who whisper behind closed doors about what somebody else that's working for them is doing. And it's like, we gotta tell Conrad he can't have his kid here, and we gotta do, it's like, how about get off your ass and come tell me then, and then tell me why. Am I not doing my job? And I get the person like, well, you don't want people walking in. It's like, yeah, I know. God forbid somebody walks in here and sees that there's a dad taking care of a sick kid. They'll probably never come back. There's no legitimate reason other than, well, if everybody, it's the same kind of corporate bullshit that I couldn't stand. I didn't want to be a part of it. I don't like any of it. It's bullshit. It's nonsensical. It has nothing to do. If somebody's wants to strap their kid to their back and go do whatever it is they said they're going to do and give their time up for you, then give them a break. Now, is there times when, you can't be like nursing your kid as you're serving somebody soup? I'm sure a woman can. I don't know what women can do while they nurse. I know they can do yoga, and I know they can do taxes. But other than that, I don't know what women can do while they nurse. But it just made me mad because I felt like it was built as the business that I was working for prior was like, that's a family business. I'll work there, and then realize, they don't treat family the same. They treat it like this is separate from family. They don't talk to you like your family when you're there. They talk to you like you're an employee, which they talk to you like you don't matter. You're replaceable. You're underperforming. You should be doing more. And all of that stuff could be true. That doesn't mean you have to make people feel like that all the time. And you could say, well, fuck your feelings. And you're right. And I say, well, fuck the job. See you later. And you could say that the world doesn't work that way, or our world, or this part of the world, or this part of the industry. Okay. Again, I don't care. Then I'll go find a way to make it work. So the goal in my brain the whole time was I'm going to figure out a way, just like my father did, to incorporate somehow being able to be with my family, my wife and my kids. And I know that's boggling to some people, that they'd want to spend that much time with their family, but I don't know. I enjoy my family. I enjoy everything about it. Even the shitty stuff that can be kind of stressful in the moment, I kind of enjoy. I miss when it's not around. So, and I guess I also have some sort of perspective, or feel like I do, on how fleeting the time that I have is with my family as they are now, you know? And I get it. You can't hang on forever, but I also understand what happens if somebody wants you around and it happens to be a family member. And so, you know, growing up and doing what James and I did as far as the working for my father in that kind of family business, it wasn't clear back then, but he had built this way of connecting everybody, and it was through him. You know what I mean? And it's through work, and it was hard work, but it was the most rewarding kind of work because it was so difficult. So everybody felt bonded, you know. So when the cousin needed a job, they'd always come, and that's when I'd see him. Or when a buddy from high school needed a job, or when an old friend or whatever, and there was always a job waiting for them if they needed it. And it was usually just to get by or make ends meet or all that stuff. And so they weren't around forever, but that's how I learned to even really have friends, because whatever free time I had was after work, meaning it usually included whoever I was working with, because you'd just be working on, what do you want to do tonight? It's like, I don't know, we could go to a movie. So you didn't have this social thing of trying to reach out to people to find stuff to do. I just, whoever was with me, it does not matter. And it's not a slight on them. It's just that at some point I stopped getting too attached because people just come and go. So, you know, you get a lot of friends, but you don't know if they're good or bad. And some of them stick around for a while, but come to find out, you know, it just was a job, or it was a fun job, or they remember it and they moved on, and that's it. And that's it. So what I'm saying is, when I was hunting for a building down here, I was looking with that in mind. I would like to have a place that I could have my family there and not feel bad about it, like it's intruding on some other person's vision of how that whatever business should run. So I had to, that's my vision. That's how a business should run. And so anyways, started looking for places, got the trailer, and here's the deal. This is an important piece of information to tell you right now. When I bought the trailer, I bought it, me. And when we were going to buy the building, it was going to be, Shannon didn't have the money to be putting in it, and didn't have a way of getting it for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. The point is, either didn't have the money and could not get it, or, you know, couldn't convince whoever, or didn't have, it does not matter. But what happened was, after I purchased the trailer, and after we started looking into how much work it's going to be, and after we started looking into the cost of everything, and it didn't really matter. I bought it. I pulled the trigger, and if anybody knows me, they know how tight I am with anything, especially if it's for some sort of personal achievement. You know what I mean? Like starting a taco, but I don't want to, it'll be me, I will buy it. And if I do not like to waste my money on something that I don't see through, you know? So if I say I'm going to buy this trailer, it will be a taco truck. Now, it might only be one for one day, and then I drive it off the side of a cliff, but I like to finish what I start, even if where I finished doesn't ultimately get to where I thought it was going to be. The finish line might move, but I did say, you know, I didn't just utter it to a person. I uttered it to myself. You know, I uttered it to the mirror. You're going to do this. You're going to try to do this. And that's a promise that I take very seriously. I take all my promises very seriously because it's all I got. So, anyways, when I talked to Shannon, back then, which feels like 100 years ago, I told him, I said, don't worry about it. I know you don't have the money. I know. And I don't know how much money this is going to cost us. And I don't know how you're going to get it back or how we're going to make it back. But, and he didn't want to let it go. It's like, dude, that's just too much. It's too much. And it's not fair. And he was sincere about all that and worried about it. And I wasn't, because I made a deal. And I didn't realize how rare, I just didn't. I don't realize how rare it is to have somebody basically follow through on what they said. And that's really where it all started. When the bad started. Because once we bought the trailer, we spent, he was still working. I spent every free moment I had and thousands of dollars, driving to and from multiple times a week and sleeping on his cot and getting that trailer ready. And any free time Shannon had, and every weekend Shannon had, and whatever, we worked through it. And I missed my daughter's birthday, and I missed Christmas parties, and I missed all kinds of crap getting that trailer ready, and missed definitely sleep, and was, ruining my body with polish and chemicals to transform that Airstream into a food truck. And then also pulling my hair out, trying to weave my way through the bureaucracy that is selling food in Oklahoma mobily, with no experience on even knowing how to sell food. And that was all worth it in the sense of I wanted to go do this taco truck thing. I see something here. Even if I don't even understand how it all works, I just see something like, here's an opportunity to where it makes sense in my head. We sell tacos and we do a show on our way to do a taco thing. It made sense to me. Now, did it ever make sense to anybody else? I don't know. I don't really care. But that was a thing. And so because Shannon couldn't invest any capital up front, I made the deal, and it was a deal that I've made before with usually just my dad, but maybe a couple others that are friends of his, or maybe from his generation even. But the deal is this, basically, I'll cover for you. I'll pay. But you owe me this summer. I mow a giant property and a few other places I mowed that summer. I said, you'll have to ride back with me together, because we don't have money for gas to drive two separate vehicles. Ride back with me together, and we'll knock everything out in a day or a day and a half, and we'll come back down and we'll sell tacos. I might have to go sell tacos right now. I think it's just James coming in. We'll see. So we'll come back down and sell tacos. Well, that lasted one or two. It might have lasted two, at most 3 times. And usually you mow about 30 times, 32 times on the nicer stuff a year. And it lasted 3. And then Shannon told me, he just looked at me and he's like, and it's anybody. You notice it as they're, especially as close as him and I are. His whole body language was, and he was being weird, and he was just depressed and down and tired and everything. And so this is, a couple of years ago, and we're driving, and he's like, dude, I just can't do it. I don't want to do it anymore. Go back and mow. And I said, okay. That was the deal, though. He's like, yeah, I know, but I'll pay you. I'll just owe you. Figure out what it is. We'll split it in half, and I'll owe you that half. And I did, and true to his word, he started paying on it, but he doesn't it's not about the money. I don't have the time or the energy either. And I also don't have the money because I just spent all of my money on this trailer. So I can't go hire somebody. I need every penny from these jobs that come in to try to make a living for my family, which won't be much of a living. It'll just be what we have and keep it as best we can. Keep our stuff as best we can. Take care of our trucks, take care of our cars, take care of clothes, take care of everything because we don't have any extra money to buy anything because I spent it all on this thing. And I thought the only benefit of I'll cover all that is Shannon will help me, meaning I'll get my stuff done in half the time. So at least I'll have time, which is the resource I wanted so badly at that time. Because when we were on the road with that trailer, I didn't see my family at all. The whole reason I was doing this crap was to build something that was with my family, Shannon included. So I felt betrayed and irritated and pissed, and it came out on a show. I blew up on him on Those Guys from Wichita episode, on one episode. Pretty sure it was the RFL championship, so good timing. And it came out because it was mentioned during that previous show that Shannon was going to bring snacks. We're going to bring snacks to celebrate the RFL. And so I was late for the show because I was trying to buy snacks, and then I get there and nobody else had brought snacks because everybody had forgot. And it pissed me off. Pretty bad, because it's another thing. Don't say something if you don't mean it. And it's bullshit because I take it very seriously because I said so. And that's all that really mattered. And so, I don't know. The biggest fault I have in holding on to that is that I never let go of that. And I should have let go. If I can't let go, I guess I should have phrased it in this way, dude. I can't trust anymore. Because, so anyways, I blew up, and sometimes after you blow up like that, you feel like you got a little closer. Like, okay, I'll let you know. But it kind of changed everything, and the work in the trailer got real difficult because just the journey that we were on, driving as far as we were driving and meeting these new people every time, and it's the same questions but from a different angle, from different towns as we went to 92. It just was too much. It's like I was done. Last summer I was done. It's like, dude, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. It's not why I wanted to do the show. I want to do a show. I care about the show. The reason him and I are even teamed up is because I was under the impression that in some way he can help me do the show. And I think he really wanted to at the beginning, and then it just grew into, well, just be a part of it, and now it's just fun to do, and that's great, except for I'm really trying to do something that, and anyways, why all this matters and why it's all connected is the next big thing, okay? So I didn't want to, and we were interviewing people, on our podcast in the shed, and I was trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do? Me. And Shannon helping me, but I'm just throwing out ideas, and then he'd be like, okay, I'll do that, which is to his credit, but at the same time, are they good ideas? Should they even be pursued? What are we even doing here? Do we even have so I felt like, what are we even doing? And so I talked with them one day, went to his house, and was basically just sitting on the back of the truck. And I was like, well, I can't do the trailer. I can't be gone, 3 or 4 days out of the week, then turn around, drive to Kansas, mow, turn around, drive back without any help. And this is the only money I got coming in is the mowing money, not because the taco truck basically is a losing venture every time we go out at a certain point. Maybe you make 30 or 40 bucks, but it's paying for itself to do it. So it's advertising or whatever, the world's hardest advertising. But it was necessary because we didn't have any money to put into advertising. So you just go out and advertise for yourself. And I'm not going to knock any of the efforts or work or any of that stuff that Shannon or it does, but Shannon put in. I wasn't mad about any of that. I guess the part that always, I could nitpick. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. The part that made the little things that would, when you're in a relationship with somebody, which is basically what it was, where there can be this bigger issue that maybe they're not even aware of or realize how big of an issue it was. That issue could be stuck in somebody's mind, and that makes all those little things that people do, like why are you popping your knuckles? Why are you chewing on your fingernails? All that stuff makes all those blow up because you're actually mad about this other thing, And so I was mad that somebody said they're going to do something and didn't do it. And then the solution was money, because the part that frustrated me about that was, well, dude, that's my money. I mean, if you're going to owe me money and then in order for you to make money, I have to go out and work in order for you to make it, meaning we're going to work together. But then as we accrue it, I know what costs are going to go in. I'm not going to get it back. The only way, and even if I did, I didn't even care about the money. I needed the help at the time. I needed the time, dude. It's not the money I needed. I needed the time. The money is a validation of the time spent. So I guess if you're not going to help me, then I need the money. But it's not what I need. Needed the labor. I needed the help doing that. I'll buy this if you can help me do that, because you don't have money. I'd rather just split it, and yeah, great, I guess. And then I'll pay you. I mean, to me, it's all just a time game. But again, we kind of moved on from that, and then we get into the rhythm, So that was last summer that it was basically at the end of the first year of our food truck, the big fight happened, and I was mad about a broken promise about helping me. Then we get over that after the big fight, and we get through a year of tacoing, and then we're to the point of, I don't know if I want to do it anymore. And I don't know if he wanted to do it anymore. I don't think so. And then, well, I'll go buy a building. And that wasn't like, well, it's more like, dude, the only thing that people, they like our food. If we can find the right place, we can, for cheap enough, we can get into it, and we just hang out and we'll just do our thing and it'll be fine. Well, the big problem with that plan, Stan, is it has to make money for me to make a living. It's not so that was the plan, and there was a couple deals made on that, but I'm not saying that he was going to he didn't back out on them, on those. So what I mean is, it's like, okay, you're right. Yes, let's try it. In worst case scenario, we bought a place and we fixed it up and we'll sell it, So we started. But here's the thing. So we started looking. I looked for one afternoon, and found a place that was named Early Bird Diner that had all these, even if you weren't looking for signs from some sort of higher power, having a brass carp and being named the Early Bird Cafe and all the little things about being an old Texaco state. I literally had a dream about this. I visualized this when I was driving down here. I wanted to be on Route 66. I wanted an Airstream to be part of the building. The only thing it doesn't have is I wanted to live here and then go downstairs like an episode of Bob's Burgers. I found it in a day. And it was in the price range, I guess. It was a price. It didn't really matter, because when I saw it, I said, well, that's it. And but then you get on that big process. So I spent the summer dealing with banks and trying to prove how much money I had, even though I didn't have any money, because I'd spent it all on the trailer and buying a house to move down here. So you try to convince a bank to give you a little bit of money based on what you're making, and I'm not making much. And, the big solution is like, well, once we get the building done, well, then maybe I'll work a couple of days and you can go. It's like, the part that never really got throwing about it is like, hey man, this has to really make a lot of money because it has to support my whole family. And Shannon wasn't in the same position, you know? And if the compromise is that, well, no, you can still drive back and mow your other stuff. Well, so what day do you want me to take? I've been working the 7 days a week, you know, for quite a few years now. So what day do you want me to take off? Because if you're saying that I got to take off days and then also go mow, no, or why? Because that's just the deal I get. It's like, I don't know about that. But I still think we could have figured it out. It just takes time. We still haven't had enough time to figure that out. A scheduling kind of deal. And I'll get to where we're at. So anyways, that's how much I'm carrying this rock, this anger rock, this rock of, this cayenne pepper of, I definitely felt betrayed on that stuff. And it broke a trust. And I thought maybe I'd repaired it. I thought maybe, and I did. I don't know if it ever did. So, anyways, we get the building. We work on it. All of our time is devoted from basically October 1st until February, with a few days off here and there for me to go plow snow and some holidays mixed in, but not much. And it's both of us. I don't want to put, it's just both of us. And we're getting after it and we do it the best we can. And I know nothing, neither one of us knows anything about how to do it. So we just do it. And what I've started, while we were doing the food truck, so for the past 3 years, when I was having to drive back and take care of my responsibilities in Kansas, and then drive back and take care of my responsibilities here, the only way I could have a consistent thing was that's why I started running, because I had so many different things that were different. I mean, and it made I woke up and I sold tacos all day in Oklahoma, then I went to sleep in Clearwater, Kansas, and now I'm mowing, and then I'm turning around and I'm driving to Chandler, Oklahoma at 5 a.m. to sell tacos at a liquor store, and this was like different all the time. Then it got to where I'm driving to wherever, Alec, Oklahoma, and then we'll turn around and drive back, and then next week we're gonna drive to Welch, Oklahoma. Like, what the hell are we doing? And so I started running, and the running was just a way of, if I could consistently do something every day that was not related, it didn't matter what the thing was, I just picked running, then at least I have that to ground me. Well, what ended up happening is, what I found is the harder I pushed myself, I felt a little bit better, which is, of course, if you have athletics in your past or whatever. So I started doing the mile every day, and I did that for a year or longer, and then I started going 2 or 3 miles, and then this year's 5 miles, and I just started, that's just as important to me as anything I do. It doesn't matter how, I'm not running fast, I'm not breaking any records yet, but I had to just start really being intense about it, in the sense that this is important, I need this, and it's an hour or less a day. Can I just have that? And everybody, it's not like anybody didn't let me, but I just started running, okay? And then I got to the point of this year, and when we were opening the taco shop in February, it was so much stress and so much pressure, and so many answers that nobody really had an answer to, but everybody's looking to me. And it's like, dude, how would I know any of this? Let's see if somebody's here. So, and the answer is I don't, but I don't have any problem in just saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. Because in my mind, it's like, do something, and then if it's wrong, we'll change it and figure it out. And a lot of people are, I don't want to do that because it could be wrong. And I'm more of the, do it. If it is wrong, fix it. But don't just stand there trying to figure out the right way to something that you have no idea the right way. You just got to start doing stuff, and it'll change 5,000 times. So, anyways, and maybe there's a better way. Like, I don't know. Research it, learn. But, it doesn't matter how much you research or whatever, unless you have experience. You just got to do it, and it's going to be whatever it's going to be. The chips will fall as they do. So because of that pressure and because of that stress and because of the time of year it was, meaning that mowing season's getting ready to start, and it's like, am I really going to have to go up there and go through now two, and the way that it was at the shop, it was just ruthless when we first opened. You build something in front of a small town that's been here for 100 years, and you're renovating it. People started to get excited about it. Once they finally figured out, it's just the same crap, but in a building. It's like, yeah, that's what we've been trying to tell you guys. It's just burrito. It's nothing. It's really good in comparison to other fast food burritos and other burritos. But it's fine. It's still a burrito. I can make this at home. You absolutely can, for sure. Mine's better. Okay, that's great. I just do it every day and it could be, yours could be way better. I don't care. I do my best. That's it. And I'll try to do better, because that's what doing your best is. But so how does getting molested as a kid and how does all this relate? So we open in February. On that first day that we were open, I didn't tell anybody that we were opening, and we just were open on February 2nd. And then nobody was here, nobody was coming. And I said, well, okay, I'll make one post. And we made a post on social media, like 2, with just a picture of the open sign. And from 2 p.m. to 7 or 8, whenever we closed, it was as if, we were Dave and Buster's. You know what I mean? It was, and there's just the two of us. It's just me and Shannon back there with Jonah helping and Summer, and luckily we had Summer on that night and Heather helping. And to sell 1,600 or whatever ended up being dollars worth of tacos in one night, and to go through 50 pounds of beef and all this crap in one night, is it basically, and I think I died. There was a moment when I was standing at the grill. There was 5 or 6 crunch wraps on the grill, plus 10 pounds of meat and a pot of beans burning and everything going on. And this is day 1. And we don't even know how any of this equipment works yet, because we haven't had any chance to even know what we're doing. And I'm standing at that grill, and I swear to you, my knees go weak, and a flash goes through me, and a flash. And I thought I passed out. I'm somehow still awake. I don't remember anything of the night. I don't remember any of it after this, really. I remember the next night was almost just as busy, and after that, there's not much of a memory of this whole time period I'm about to go into. It's as if I died. Okay? That's what it felt like. So I die. A literal physical flash goes through me. I look around in the kitchen, like, what was that? Did you guys see that? Did I pass out? Nobody, it's just Shannon, and it's like, what was? And I don't know what it was. I still don't know. And I apparently am not dead. I've asked many people. Um, but here's the weird thing. That happened, and then I go up to Kansas, and we're working on a project for. I got to get something done, for Case, because it's this big project. The new boss is coming in, so I'm planning that with my dad, and then we got a seating project that we're getting paid for, and the billing, and all these different things that have nothing to do with tacos. But I'm trying to organize them and squeeze them in, and they got a lot to do with more than just me. It's not just go mow, and so I'm planning all these other things, and I'm losing my mind, and I have no idea where I'm at because I think I'm dead. I don't know what's going on, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm doing my best. I go on these runs, and it's as if I can't even, it feels now religious because am I dead? So what happened is when I went up to Kansas on one of the times, my dad was, which he's been sick for months, but he was really sick. And I was like, yeah, to go to the doctor, which us going to the doctor is like, I haven't been to one since my stomach blew up and my hernia was, we don't go. It's not good. It's not a brag. It's not any of that stuff. It's just that we don't go. We're taught to grit and we don't have time and just push through. And it's not just me and my siblings that are taught that. My dad was taught that and his dad was taught that, and it's passed down. It's genetic. It's hereditary. It's Southern fried homicide is what that is, buddy. And so, but he's sicker and everybody's worried about him. All these whispers, in the back. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then, they're talking, my dad's got a fiance and he's been engaged to her for like 2 years now. And I'm like, why aren't they didn't get married, get on her insurance? Like, well, she doesn't. And it's like, well, how does she not? And how does he not? He's been retired military. Well, mom still got his stuff. I was like, she still got all his military? Oh, she still got everything. And my mom and dad have been trying to get divorced for fucking over a decade now. And I was like, okay, all right. So in my brain, what triggered was this. I gotta end whatever I can do. I gotta try to put an end to this settlement deal, because what my mother does not understand is that she doesn't deserve what she's asking for at this point. She's got their divorce. I could talk for 20 hours about it, and everybody's got their divorce story, and keep them to yourselves. I don't care. The point is, as a bunch of siblings, as 8 of us, all of us know what the breakdown was on all of, as far as marital possessions that were accrued over 30 years together, and who got everything and who had to restart. We're all wildly aware. And all of us, whether we're okay with it or not, watched it and stood by and was like, okay, and tried to be on both teams as best we could, even if we thought there was like, this isn't fair, or this isn't, nothing we can do about it. That kind of deal, which is really irritating. But now it was getting to like, well, if there is some sort of huge health problem going on with my dad, and at the time also, which is my uncle was very sick, and come to find out they all had COVID. I'm sure I had COVID, and everybody's got COVID. They're spitting up all the crap you see on all the conspiracy channels where they're spitting up the crap that's filling up people's blood vessels, and that's all coming out of them. And so it's not a good look. They're not healthy. They look bad. And mentally, though, my dad's not, he's fighting. He's still mentally, he's exhausted. He's fighting something that he can't fight. He's fighting a moving target. He's fighting a changing finish line. Each time there's something like, well, I guess if you just pay this, child support, then and then it's like, well, now I want this. Now I want this. Now I want this. And it never ends. It's like, I deserve it. I deserve it. I deserve it. And I got so tired of hearing what somebody else deserves based on the efforts of a different person, you know? And so I got mad. I got real mad because the fact that he's having to fight this fight still, he should be focusing on the fight that matters, is that he's going to die fighting because he can't mentally get onto, I got to get healthy, as long as somebody's always behind him hitting him with a damn hatchet, a damn money hatchet, or a damn you suck hatchet, or you're a bad person hatchet. And all this shit's false and not true. And that's what my mom has just been doing to him, to anybody that'll listen, for a decade. And everybody listened. And even if they tuned it out, they still listened. Well, I got tired of listening to the shit. And so I had this plan. I was like, okay, I will take all the money I can find, and I will go up there, and I'll show her the money, because this is the money that she wants, in the sense of, this is the amount, this is the number. And I just asked her for a number. I wanted the number. If it's about money, give me a number, and I'll figure out a way to get you that. And then, can you leave my dad alone so he can get healthy? That was the whole thing. And that's simultaneously going on while I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do this shop. And I don't know where I'm at all. And I can't sleep, and there's no sleeping. And, I'm drinking more, but then it's like, am I? Because some people say, yeah, you're drinking a lot more. I seen you. You was drinking. Nobody knows what I was drinking. I got real irritated with the fact of this lack of, nobody's really knows what anybody's doing, and nobody cares, and they're not listening. And it got me mad about it, because I was drinking. Well, was I? Because a lot of it I was pouring, and it does not matter. I started playing these weird tricks to see what people were paying attention to. And it felt like somebody else was telling me to play these tricks, which is the part that makes people weird about it. And they're not tricks like, you walk and put your foot into a bucket when you walk in the door or something. It's more like, if I carry around a bottle of Cayman Jack, everybody's going to think it's Cayman Jack. I was like, well, I actually dipped it in water right over there, and it's just a big bottle of water that's in a Cayman Jack. So maybe it's just water, but I realize how dumb that is now. I get it. I don't remember anything. So I couldn't sleep. I was trying to figure all this crap out, and I was running more and more and more, probably going crazy, probably having a, what is that? I don't know. An anxiety attack that lasted a month. And so I'm running on nothing. I'm running on caffeine and just determination to stay alive or to be dead, whatever I am at that moment. And then I have a dream. I'm laying in bed. This is the craziest shit. For whatever reason, I was worried about the weather. I was really worried about the weather. And I took Shannon, after one of the taco nights at the taco shop, I was like, we're going to go to the casino. And we went there, and I took it, and I was just nuts about, and it was me, but it was exhaustion mixed with what the hell am I talking about, mixed with who was telling me to say this crap, who was telling me to do this. It's like an experiment, and it was really probably just me. I don't know. I think I was going because I thought for some reason I would get lucky, and because I'm doing it for a righteous reason, I'd get lucky and hit some sort of major jackpot and walk out and be able to pay everybody's debts off and pay for everything, and then everybody can just stop asking me about money. I make the least out of anybody who's asking me. Everybody keeps asking about it, and I don't make any, guys. So what I have, it means I saved and I sold stuff and then didn't replace it. We're good? So Oh, Thick James is in, everybody. Hold on a second.
There's actually a seat.
Oh, yeah, sit down. You have to pull the mic to you.
Oh, I know how it is. The right way.
Yeah.
The right way. This way.
Yeah, that's the right way. Talk in the front of it.
Okay. Don't worry, guys. I was at Copenhagen.
Yeah, you can't speak very well
With it or without it. So.
without it. Okay.
How you doing, America?
Yeah. Well, for the 13 people that are listening, I'm sure they're happy to hear from you. Just Dad and, a few others.
Yeah. Taco lady. Oh, but wait. Irish taco lady.
Yeah. So, where was I at? It's in the middle of all that, and trying to think. So, we didn't win at the casino that night. Took Shannon to the casino. I had like $2,000. I played with it. I max bet all of it. I won and lost, and then ended up losing it. It didn't really matter. It wasn't $2,000 that I lost, but I won and lost some money, and it was just to prove a point that none of this crap even matters. And also, I was probably trying to figure out. I was trying to get lucky too, But we left, and then we stopped at Whataburger, and as we're sitting there, he's like, "What do you want?" And it's like 1 a.m. He's like, "I'll have a What a Catch," which is so weird. I've been recently. I'm talking within the past 7 months. It's all I eat is fish sandwiches and stuff, which is strange. It's all I had a craving for. And it was more validation. I don't know what it is. I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's not some sort of weird religious thing. Because that night, I got home late, obviously, 1 a.m. I went to bed in my bed. I just laid down, and my daughter walked in and is like, "Dad," which she does ask to sleep, but it's not weird that it's weird that it's 1 a.m. and she's very much always asked to sleep somewhere else, sleep on the couch, sleep with her brother, sleep in our bed, whatever. She's still of that age. And, the majority of the time she doesn't get to, it's just a thing where she's wanting to stay up later. So we always send her to her room. Well, because it was so late and she comes in, "Dad, I want to sleep in here. I had a bad dream." He's like, "Well, that's fine, but can I sleep in your bed?" And she said, "No." I said, "What?" I turned around and she goes, "Oh, did you want to sleep?" She's like, "I thought you asked." "Yeah, you can sleep in my bed." All right. So I go to her room, I lay down, and I go on a all night long journey. It was a dream, kind of. It was, felt like the universe sucked me up into the universe and twirled me around, and for a lot of reasons. And it was a mixture of like technology and the past and everything. It was wild. And it kept me up all night, and it screwed me up. I didn't know what to think of it. And I didn't know. And so I spent like a month beyond that trying to figure it out. Was it God? Was it, there's times when I felt like because of this dream, it was basically saying that I'm the creator, but I don't know if it's talking about, are you talking about I'm the creator of, my own world, or the creator of my own universe? And it reminded me of, Shannon had went through something somewhat similar where he just felt like he got hit by lightning, and then, was down for a few weeks or a few months, or still getting over it. If you talk to him now, he's like, "Yeah, that was crazy. And I still hope it doesn't happen." Like one of those kinds of things where it's almost like an identity crisis or a purpose crisis, or what does this all matter crisis, or whatever those crises that we, humans have because we're trying to figure out anything, There's people that are fighting in a war right now that are trying to figure out why the hell we're fighting this war. You know what I mean? It doesn't. So I don't know what it was, but it was on the heels of dying on the first night. I mean, having an episode of a panic attack or a something, or just having a light flash through your chest and feel like your legs go jello, and then you wake up still standing there, and everything's different but also the same. So I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. And so I just thought about it. And I guess what happened is it became what it was doing was trying to whittle out, and this is what I've noticed post, is really like a month long. And I had an ending date. I was going to go check on my uncle at a certain, and I don't know where it come from. I knew I was going to go on a Friday. I knew it was going to go up there. I knew it before Easter. I knew or Thursday night. I already knew it. Thursday night before Easter, 3 days before Easter, or two, you know what I mean? It just got real weird. And so all I know is then my brain turned into find out who you can trust mode. Like, you can't trust anybody right now mode. And the reason that happened was, and the reason that sometimes I am portraying this bit of confidence, sometimes I'm trying to keep it close to my vest, is this. The guy that did that thing to James and I, here's the deal. So 10 years ago, 12 years, and I'd forgot about that. This was the part I want to make very clear. All of this had just come to me. I didn't forget what happened to me and James, but I forgot this next part. I totally forgot it. And it came to me, and then I was like, holy crap. Your whole world is different. It's this. I think I dug down to the deepest parts of whatever is either in your brain or your soul or your heart or whatever. It's like, here's the thing. You got to figure out a way to end this thing so your dad can go not have to worry about that anymore. So I'm like, well, okay. Because then I get the money. I tell my mom, you can have my money. You can have my brother's money. I'm tired of this shit. We got to stop this stuff. I'm done with it. You can have all my siblings' money. If this is not enough, please stop asking my dad for money. He doesn't owe you anymore. We'll pay it. Because he's paid for everything for us. That kind of deal. My mom's like, oh, yeah. It's not your problem. You don't get it. He owes me all that shit. Uh-huh. And this doesn't, and I got mad because this doesn't take into account what she stole from my brother and I, because it wasn't like I was a kid when the business got taken from us. I was a college graduate, and I had a family and a house, and I worked for that company that she just then, after falling in love with somebody, or out of love with my dad and then falling in love with some other man, basically threw a grenade into the life that my dad and I and brother and everybody else, all the people I mentioned earlier that would come and go, had built. And she threw it in there and said that she built it and she gets all of it. And then wants more and more and more. And you guys get nothing and go figure it out. It wasn't yours, which is, wow. But okay. And I was like, okay, sure. And I kept it like that for like 10 years. Okay, whatever. I don't want to talk about it, sure. And the reason, I think, is because my siblings were so young and they had to split time. And, there's no sense in me stirring up the pot when they can't handle it back then. And I'll just check in all the time. And I'd check in on weekly basis. But not, and I didn't get to be as close because I didn't. Because here's the thing that happened that I totally forgot. There was a moment when my parents were first separated, and I was in the middle of it, meaning I was in the middle of the company thing. I was running I was just running it. You know, they were fighting each other, and I was doing my best to run it. You know, my dad would be there. My mom was never there. She was never part of running it. She was the billing, but I'll do that. But it just gave me access to see what she was spending the money on. And you know, a lot of times it was despicable because it's the efforts of all these other men that she doesn't know their name and doesn't care what they get paid. And she's taking their money to go spend it on this instead of on a business, to spend it on herself. You know, to go to Jerusalem. The woman went to Jerusalem. It doesn't have to fit into this timeline. I mean, in the sense of she could hear this and be like, whoa, that was 3 years later. Yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. Have you been to Jerusalem yet? It's beautiful this time of year. As a kid who Frontier City was the big highlight, somebody telling me they're going to Jerusalem. But I kept it. I went in when they first got separated. I had a huge fight with my mom on one night, trying to be like, if you guys can't figure it out, I think this is you know, we're doing everything we can. Then you'll keep the house. And we were trying everything as far as a business, you know, to separate that back then. You know, here's Mom. I think we can handle mowing and making this much money if we pay you this much money and you keep the house and we'll get a shop. And like, I'm negotiating these things. And she's like, no, that's not. No. Okay, whatever. Got into it. Left. The next night, I go there. It's just her and I. And this is, you know, past 10 years. It's just her and I. And there's a big bar at the center of her kitchen. She's standing there and there's a trash can there. And I walked up and I'm standing by the trash can where I'd always stand and check my mail and throw it away or whatever. And I said, you know, you guys got arbitration tomorrow. And I told her, I said, I don't care what you do. I don't care what it shakes out as. I don't care. But I do care who you have in the room arbitrating the case. I don't want that guy to be there because he molested me and James. I said it to her. I hadn't told anybody ever that it had happened. Only me and James know. And I told her that night that happened. And then she told me, that's funny that you mentioned that, Conrad, because your Uncle Kevin told me the same thing. And I said, you know, I didn't think it's funny, but okay. I said, well, I really don't want. And she's like, yeah, okay. Well, he's been involved. He was involved. He was arbitrating. I couldn't tell my dad. My dad would just, which my dad's going to hear this and feel like he needs to do. You don't need to do anything because that's the point. I'm just going to do it, I guess, in the right way. I'm just going to sue him. But here's the part that's so messed up, I guess, is because it happened to us when we were so young, I didn't know. I didn't know anything. How would I? I had no idea. And then I just kind of forgot about it. I was like, well, that shit happens to people sometimes, and it does. I mean, we just spent a decade listening to every person who ever got, you know, the wrong number at a bar tell me that they were Me Too'd. You know what I mean? Everybody's hashtag Me Too'd and listening to all the stories. And I'm not trying to take away from any of their stories, but some of them, it's like, come on, because some of us know what it really is. And it messes you up probably in lots of ways that I don't know, and that's okay. But here's the part that really messed me up. Is when it happened, I didn't know any better, and I was a pretty badass little 8-year-old or whatever age I was. And then I just kept, you know, working and doing what I was did not matter. I pushed it aside and buried it where you bury those kinds of things, basically, and didn't think of it. There's a few things that can trigger it, and whatever. It's not like when I see them, I have a seizure or anything. So in my mind, it's like, I'll just tell her. And I didn't even think what the implications of that confession was. And in her mind, she must not have either. And that's the part that's pretty irritating. That's the part that really gets out. That's the part that boils you. Is all I know is this. If I walked into a room and saw my son and daughter in a position that me and James were in, my son and daughter who are the same ages as me and James were, I would be dead. And so would everybody else that was around until they killed me. But that guy would be dead. And then everything would be dead. I'd go Black Adam on him. It's all over. It's over. And that's what happened. Because when it happened to me, I didn't have kids, man. I was a kid. What happened was whatever this light was said, hey, dude, don't you remember? You told your deepest secret to somebody. They went against it and they never helped you with it. You don't trust that person, and it's the person you're supposed to trust more than anybody. It's your mom. You're supposed to trust your mom. You can't trust your mom. Don't you understand that, Conrad? You can't trust her because you did trust her and she did nothing. A good mom would have sued the man that day. A good mom would have been on the phone that night. A good mom wouldn't have used the man to save a few bucks on an arbitration. A good mom wouldn't have used the man that molested her sons and her brother. A good mom wouldn't have done that. You don't have anybody. You have your dad. You're a dad. What would you do? Ooh. Whew. And then those images hit my head. What would I do if my son told me this happened to him? We good? Need some help? Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, I don't really remember where I was at. Oh, yeah. Now I could visualize the now I just had an example of now I have my own kids, and so it did. I don't know if it ever would. I doubt it as much as it doesn't really matter. My kids ever said anything like that to me, and that's the whole thing I'm trying to get to. Is I told mom, and I've told my siblings over the past month. I've told my siblings over the past month that this happened to me and James. They had no idea either. But I told all of them, and they all understood. I couldn't tell my dad about it because I wouldn't have a dad anymore, especially back then. He just would have went and killed the guy. And I say that to people, and they roll their eyes. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, he would have. He might now. He's going to listen to this now. I don't want him to. I'd rather embarrass him. You know, I don't want to. I'd rather just get the money, and he goes and falls in a pit, is how it makes you feel. And I don't even care about, again, but that's why James is here. Everybody keeps, well, why would you just got your brother? It's like, no, I was trying to save my dad who was dying. He doesn't have insurance or any possessions from his former life. And in doing so, I undiscovered something inside of my brain, which was I don't have the anchor that I thought I had. I don't think that there's a good person inside of my mom. And the reason is because of this. And once I broke that trust with such a big bond, you know, especially my mom thinks she puts herself out there as some sort of, you know, like some sort of woman of virtue or something, woman of values, woman of all this stuff. She portrays that. She campaigns on that. And she won't. When the time came where somebody had something that she needed, only she could fix, or only she could help with, or only she could, I don't even know if I'd ever remembered it. I'm not even 100% sure if she didn't not use him as an arbitrator. She might have heard me and said, okay, I won't use him. What I do know is she never said anything about it again. She didn't say, hey, we're going to go sue Eric. We're going to go do this. Should have said his name, but you'll hear it soon enough. So anyways, because I broke this huge trust thing in my brain with the person who made me, it basically was like getting hit in the brain with a planet. And then what it ended up making me do, meaning the thought, I guess, is it took me down in there, and then it said, well, who do you trust? If you can't trust her, who do you have? And that's where what I said earlier about Shannon's, I fought myself. I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. But because I hadn't forgave him for not helping, for not doing what he said he'd do back then, I think that it got mixed up in this huge trust thing that I was just going through, and this huge purpose thing that I was just going through is all I can figure now, looking, a couple months out at it. Everybody wanted to blame drinking and all that shit. I've been drinking, and not to say that's an excuse, but I've been drinking probably heavily. I've been having cocktails every night for 10 years. I've had a few incidents like everybody does, and everybody wants to act like they didn't, but they all did, of, over imbibing. And it's not good. I'm just saying that for the most part, I could handle I wasn't trying to push it. I was doing it to unwind, all that kind of crap. And I got kids. I couldn't push anything. And I got a wife. And, meaning I was at home and my wife and I would have a couple drinks every night, like her parents or anybody that's old enough to buy it or whatever. But everybody wanted to blame me. Drinking more. It's like, yeah, I probably was. But a couple months, even sober now, nothing. I'm not worried about the booze. I'm more worried about the mental side of, they clicked on, it was an engine that got clicked on, guys. It wasn't something that was, turned this engine on is what happened. And I'd built this huge wall from the day that I walked into my mom's house, stood by that trash can and told her that. And then the lack of anything I got back other than whatever, get in line, basically. That built this big wall that I just didn't go beyond that wall. And that means I didn't have a past. I didn't go revisit it. I moved. I just looked forward. And so that's it. And I think that's what broke Shannon, because he knew how hard I was struggling with it. And he knew that I wanted him and all this crap, but I could not give him a break. I couldn't. I just couldn't. And that's unfair and all that crap. I totally agree. But it broke this weird trust engine in my head, and I didn't have a trust engine anymore. And so I basically, I want to say I pushed everybody away, but I pushed as hard as I could, and then it was like, okay, now I'll see who's there. That's what happened. I pushed, not physically, but even physically. It didn't matter. I'm going to push you away and see if you come back to me, because I got to find somebody that trusts me. And at the end of it, my wife was there. My kids were there. My kids knew the whole time. They knew everything. They did know everything. They still do. It is the oddest thing, the weird text messages that they would send me at weird times I'm talking, it's just odd, guys. But I got my kids, I got my wife, I got my brother, I got my dad. And I've tried to get Shannon. I've apologized for the pushing, not knowing what it was. But before I did any of that, when I got back from basically a week of ruminating without anything else in Kansas City, where I go, that's my place. That's my happy place. For whatever reason, it's got a lot of happiness up there. Which is his farm up there in Kansas City. And all I did when I was there was work. Worked on his car, worked on mowing. I wanted to work. Couldn't lay around the house all day, but I just wanted to feel like somebody appreciated it, like somebody had a problem and they wanted to fix it. not just sit there and talk about it. Whatever it was, I was just needed a different, whatever. But what it did, I had to explode. So I came back and I exploded on the phone, luckily. But I came back and exploded of everything, meaning everything that I felt Shannon had ever done, all that kind of baggage, I just blew it all out. Here's everything. And it got loud and it got quiet and it got mean and it got personal and whatever. Everything came out. And I told him I just needed a decision. I needed to know what he wanted to do, but I'm not doing this shit because I don't trust him. Basically. You can't make me, all that kind of shit. And it was probably too far, probably unfair. And I say probably because I'm still not 100% certain that I'm wrong. And the only reason I say that is because I'm sitting here 2 months later after going through all this shit and I ain't heard a word from him. And maybe that's fair. But what I'm saying is I pushed everybody away and the ones that were still there were still there. And the ones that weren't. And so I've called him twice since then, since the blow up, since we talked. And he, by the way, he told me that, yeah, he talked with his wife about it and, you know, he didn't, I don't know what he's doing. He hasn't told me shit. That's the part. All he told me was, yeah, he can't do it. But I don't know if he's basing it on me or basing it on himself. Basing it on he can't deal with me or basing it on himself. Summer, our help, couldn't deal with me because I blew up. You know, that's craziness. And I get it. She has no idea who I am or what I've been through or what we were going through or any of the deals, you know, whatever. She doesn't want to work in a place where she's got some sort of crazy boss. I totally understand. I wouldn't either. But that's where we're at. I don't know. I know that he was going to maybe go back to work at his previous job. So the plan moving forward, and, you know, I've had lots of them about this situation, but is tell the actual story of what happened to whoever I'm supposed to tell it to and have them take it and take this guy. And the reason, there's a lot of it. It scared me because these people are ruthless, man. I've watched my mom. They're ruthless. I don't know what she's going to... If I came after her and she's like, well, what did I do? And that's the part that maybe bothers me the most. It's like, I don't know, Mom. You know, there's a part of me that's like, I could just say you didn't know what to do and I trust you and you're in the clear. But then there's this other part where you should have done the right thing. And, you know, the whole Joe Paterno thing, which if you don't know, the Penn State guy, you know, that did all that crap to them kids in the shower, they say that Joe Paterno maybe knew about it. Well, once anybody found out that even somebody knew about it, an adult, and didn't say anything, they're just as guilty, right? That's kind of what I got going on in my head, and it's about somebody. It's like, oh, do you want to pursue that? I don't know. No, I don't. But then each time you got to understand, it's psychological warfare. You know, I can do a show, which you guys maybe listen to, maybe don't, and get a text message about how cruel I am to her. And she doesn't even know if I'm talking about her. It's just... letting all that go, and meaning opening up that wall I built and being like, I guess I'm going to walk in here and see what was back here. And walking in there and seeing what was back there, not only did I discover, oh yeah, there was the guy there's me right there at the counter confessing this thing and getting no reaction. And, you know, that was the trust breaking. But now that I'm back here, what else did I have back here? Oh yeah, I know this stuff. And I think a lot of people go through that. Like, what was I? Oh, I did do that, or I can do that, or I am that, or I am competitive. I'm the most competitive. I'm very competitive. I have blocked all this side off of me in fear of losing certain people around me, like because I get too much sometimes. But then I realized, did I lose who I got around me then? Because sometimes you want that dog. So I don't know. That's where we're at. And I guess I felt like I don't know if any of this shit makes sense because I've stopped a few times, and I guess I'll leave it at this. I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to talk to the right guy and take this guy to court or whatever. I don't know how that works. I tried to call the jungle law, and they told me that if I'm not the person that committed the act, that they only represent the bad guys, I guess, is what basically they said. So. And then I really haven't pursued it further because I've been running a taco shop and a lawn mowing company 7 days a week for 2 months. And a partner who, understandably so, is gone. So, anyways, I'm going to go. That's it. Next one will be funny. I'm done talking about this. Now you know. That's where we're at. I don't know why. I don't know what. But that's where we're at. So with that being said, have an okay day.